Hi, it's Joey and today I'm going to be watching The Gifted Season 2 Episode 6 Imprint. This show is my absolute favourite on TV right now. I look forward to each episode and I cannot, after the way the last one ended, I'm very stressed. I can't wait, let's go. Frost Sisters. Oh gosh, no wonder they sort of angry and vengeance seeking. Glad Andy has a friend, even though they're both far too young to be involved in any of this.
Yeah, well, she better start.
So Lorna definitely believes in the goal of the Inner Circle and their methods, but doesn't like not being included in the decision making and feeling like she's just a small pawn in it rather than someone that is making the decisions, and she has every right to. I do like that they're very distinct, like you can see how she acts them, they're all different. They're just kids.
What the hell kind of mission is this? An important one.
They do deserve to know all the facts.
Throw 'em out.
Oh dear. But I love that we're seeing Lorna and where she's at. Thank God I was asking for this. And I'm glad that she's not just happily falling into line with whatever Reva's plan is. She wants to know.
It's you. Recover. Thanks.
I'm very stressed. Does Jason know where they live or not?
You have to deal with it, not just drug it.
It's like everything's happening at once.
That's why you need to train.
Just let John help you.
Yeah.
See how training can help.
They should maybe sleep in separate places though, in case he has a nightmare and gets stressed.
You've always made me feel like I can do anything.
You can.
Oh goody, purifiers.
You all remember Jason?
I hate them so much.
See you as a hate.
Well, you didn't try to stop them, did you? Until they'd already even beaten him up.
They'll come run. Somebody solve the mutant problem. And it's gonna be us.
Well, it's not gonna get solved because more and more people are gonna be born who are mutants. It's an evolutionary thing. She's gonna dream. Or it's different this time. Oh my gosh, is this really them talking?
This is my family now. And they're making me
God.
stronger. They can make you stronger.
Is this
too.
real? Yes, it's them actually talking.
Trust her. Or lose her.
Look, it's reasonable to trust her if she's part of your cause. Where's she going? To mind control a baby to be quiet. Wonderful.
Okay, I would to her.
It's true. Training time.
Going on with you internally.
A lot of childhood trauma is going internally with him.
The reason why you think you're special. So you're gonna tell me you're in control right now?
We have to stand together.
So is the Inner Circle going to go and look out for these mutants, try and help them? Or are they just going to leave them to it because they're not part of their plan? Shut up! I missed him.
This is what it takes to get your ugly mugs up here.
Oh, and those people whose names I don't remember, but they were all part of our group.
Good to see you. But I'll work for it in my way.
You asked for his help.
I tried to kill it. I didn't put out the lights, but I cracked the windows a bit.
You need to listen to people who have more experience than you in this. I really appreciate seeing their backstory. Like, it really makes sense of why they are the way they are and the stance they've taken.
Seemed kind of strange.
They followed them here.
Bunch of purifiers bomb a church to hurt mutants.
They're trying to get to here. Oh god. It's not stressful at all.
2 minutes.
Chase is like, I'm gonna do a tiny pretense of being a decent human,
We're here for justice. Calm down.
and then no.
Your fingers are getting awfully itchy around here.
Does it really matter?
I mean, these are refugees.
Them out or just...
Terrorists and the killers are inside, not out here.
Sure. Chase, just accept who you've become.
We're the good guys here.
Sure.
Remember that.
Keep telling yourself that. I mean, I know he does believe that, but ugh. That's a bit stalkery.
You are alone. Answer me. When
Yes.
Dad stopped crying earlier, was that you?
I understand. Nothing you say is real. If you were your sisters, so much as look at my daughter again, I will
Well, this is where you're choosing to raise her. I mean, this is an extreme reaction to this. Stop. But
keep your monsters away from me and my daughter.
this is a problem. I'm kind of scared for everyone involved.
Can't let go of the idea that we can get through to him.
You can
I had
have
another
to.
dream last night.
Look at the road, please. Reed's already crashed the car with her in it.
I know Andy doesn't want to be saved. He believes the inner circle is helping people.
Please listen to her,
Calling them
Caitlin.
heroes.
Please.
Maybe he's right.
Ooh.
Maybe we're the ones that need to be saved.
She's definitely scared.
Please. Now let's try this again.
She's going for Andy's tactics.
About Rebecca Hoover.
She hasn't actually hurt anyone though. Oh god. I wondered if she could do it to people. Let's hope Andy never breaks her heart.
Said that's how she killed them too.
Yep. So were her family like horrible to her? So at least kind of triggered it in a sense, or was she just bloodthirsty?
We'll fix it.
We can't afford to make any more mistakes.
Esme is definitely fascinating. Is this genuine? You got a secret boyfriend or girlfriend? Oh god. Oh gosh.
Get out! Everybody get out! Hurry!
God. God, only like 10 of them made it, if that many.
Side of the wall. We use it to bring people in.
Disintegrate the wall. You've got to do it. Come on, Reed.
I can help with the wall.
We believe in you.
Where's...
Oh gosh. Quickly, Reed. There's not time for this to be done slowly. I know you need to do it slowly because you didn't train enough, but hurry up, please. Come on, Reed. That's not a small arm. Oh my god, he's got a big gun. No. No. Back inside. No, 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 no.
Don't make me do this! Get on the ground!
No, she has to run.
But you and Mom have never once talked about what it might mean for me to have Andy come home.
Oh. I was all excited the shadow was back.
We didn't start off as triplets.
Oh god.
Anything to protect your daughter from that.
See, Esme's feelings and emotions is what's going to get through to Lorna. I believe her. In the other two, I feel like they were just manipulating, but I believe Esme.
Not how I wanted that to go down.
How did you think it was going to go down? It went down about as expected. I do love that.
I love you every bit as much as your brother, right? I would never put you at risk to save him.
I know that. But the inner circle recruited that psychopath. If he won't come back on his own, I have to fight him and bring him back myself.
It's hard because 15-year-olds in the normal real world, if they ran away from home, they'd be brought back. See, just how like irredeemable she is will depend on why she killed her family. Like if they were abusive, awful, maybe it's understandable. But Andy should be very afraid of dumping her in the future. See, Esme's emotions were what won this day for them. Because Lorna responded to getting some genuine feeling from somebody.
What's wrong? Where's Reed?
Maybe it's best if you don't.
What?
Oh my god. He's not controlling it.
Don't come any closer.
Maybe he needs the people, his family, to help get through to him.
I can't make it stop.
That was another fantastic episode. So much happened. There was heartbreak. I mean, I feel like Shatter dying was less devastating in that he hadn't been around since last season, and so I didn't feel as close to him maybe than he was any minor part of the season, but I am still really sad about that. He was just a constant in this show, and I was so happy when he was back and the two kids whose names I don't remember were back, and the other guy who I don't remember. Like, it was really exciting, and now Shadow's dead, and that is sad. But he died a hero, he died trying to save them. I wish he'd run for cover as soon as he saw that the guy had the bigger rifle, but he was a hero. It was really interesting to see the Frost sisters and where they came from, to have in the show. It confirmed, I mean, I'll admit I haven't read the comics, but I've heard bits and pieces of the comics from people, and that the Frost sisters were clones, and that they confirmed that in this, that they were clones, and the fact that there were 5 of them. I think it was just so interesting, because getting to find out what made them who they are, and that doesn't necessarily excuse them using violence and killing people that are innocent, etc. Like, I still think that that's wrong, but it really does help to explain why they would see that as being something that they'd have to do, why they would, I mean, their entire lives they've been part of this war, they've not really known an existence where that wasn't a part of who they were. So I think the fact that Esme can get emotions and feelings and at least feel bad about doing the bad things, whereas the Sophie and Phoebe, I don't know which is which. I can tell actually when they stand that they are different, but I don't know which one's which. Sophie and Phoebe don't seem to care when they do bad things, whereas at least Esme is starting to realise that it is wrong, and she feels it. And I think she genuinely was trying to connect with Lorna. And I mean, when she went into Dawn's head, it was more just, she's so used to using her powers for experience, and maybe it's an obstacle, sleep, fine. Whereas obviously Lorna had every right to be furious about that, but I think, I don't know what Lorna, coming to Lorna in a minute, but the Frost, I really appreciated getting that look into their backstory and into who they are and why they are the way they are. And I think Esme is the one I have hope for at the moment. I love that they're not all just identical clones. I love that they have their own personalities, and that Esme is becoming more distinct than her sisters. They had to prompt her at one point to finish their sentence. Like, she just has feelings and emotions, and I think that's what's so important. Then we have Lorna, who this episode we finally got to again see where her head was at, which was really good, because for the last few episodes, since she had the baby, she's kind of just been around in the background taking part in inner circle things. Now, I don't know exactly what she expected. She came to the inner circle, she knows their reputation, and she's happily raising her baby there. Now, I can see it from the point of view of they have all the money and resources, her baby is technically much safer from the outside world there than it would be with Marcos in the inner circle and the underground. But she's with people that wouldn't hesitate to use the baby as leverage somehow if required. She's with people that would use the baby in any way that they needed, because they would view that as being a necessary sacrifice, and obviously Lorna would not be okay with that. So I think it was good this episode that she made her boundaries very clear, and also that we saw that Lorna wasn't just happy to be a pawn. She wasn't just happy to sit back and be told, do this, do that, you know. She didn't just go, yes ma'am. She fought back. She said, no, this isn't acceptable. I need to know the plan I'm doing, because that's the Lorna we know. The Lorna we know wouldn't just happily follow someone else's plan with no idea what it was, risk her life, especially now that she's a mother, just for someone else's plan. She'd want to be part of it like she used to be in the underground. And I wonder if that's going to cause any more obstacles in the future, because if she doesn't fall into line with Reva's plans, who knows what will happen in the future. I do hope that Lorna and Esme can actually form like a genuine friendship, and maybe if there's a time when the inner circle is going to go too far, they might pull it back a bit. But I'm intrigued to see what happens there. Then we have Reed, who really, really needs to work and to train with John and with Marcos and with anyone who will train with him, because as you saw at the end of the episode, it did not go well. I think the trouble with Reed is that everything he's going through now, he's seeing it through the lens of the childhood trauma, through the lens of his father making him so sick he thought he was going to die, of it having been his father doing it rather than him getting the X gene. And then since both his kids became mutants, their lives have been nothing but terrifying. So I think you can see why he is struggling with it, especially when his power is so destructive. You know, it's not one that he can, if it goes out of control, he will disintegrate things. But I think he's gonna have to learn to control it, and I really do hope that that happens quite soon. Then we had Lauren. I really found Lauren's comment about maybe we're the ones that need to be saved was so fascinating, because you can see an argument for it. Like, I've had discussions with people on here about how the underground, they're not doing much. They're kind of, you know, they haven't got a plan, and to be honest, the moment they are just reacting all the time. Now, I don't think that means their dream is nonsense. I don't think that means that their goal, that their vision for the future is unrealistic. I just think that the position they're in right now, they have no money, no resources, no information. Of course they're on the back foot all the time. If they were to, you know, get a backer like the Inner Circle has, get money like the Inner Circle has, they would be much more efficient. So you can see why, you know, especially seeing the vision that Lauren had, where she saw the nice fancy facility that Andy is in, and she knows that they're coming up with plans and they're executing the plans, and I can see why she would think maybe we're the ones that need to be saved. I also think you know, we can all agree that that mental hospital was a terrible place of torture, and, you know, I would be as angry as Lauren was if I met someone who had been involved in it. So I think with that you can see her thinking, oh, they achieved some good there because they freed all those innocent mutants who hadn't done anything that wrong to be in there, like the guy who sacrificed his life last episode. I can see why she would view that as, maybe he's right, maybe we're the ones that be safe, maybe they're right. But Lauren would not be okay with hurting innocent people and with using violence and with Reva's whole attitude of, oh, you got sacrifice, you know, and yeah, if some people die, who cares, you know, rather than it being a tragedy if someone dies. I think the way that they killed the people who were aware that they'd used that place for Lorna to give birth shows where the Inner Circle's morals are, and at least as of right now, Lauren is very much not there. So I think I like that the show isn't trying to paint it as the Underground are just perfect saints and the Inner Circle are evil demons. I think there are layers to all of it. Now, I would ally with the Underground over the Inner Circle, but I don't think it makes you a demon person if you want to ally with the Inner Circle either. Also, I think Caitlin looked very shocked when Lauren got very, like, stormed into the office with the woman, was very angry and used her powers to destroy the phone. Even though last few episodes ago Caitlin was torturing somebody, and Lauren knew she was torturing somebody, so if anything that was child somewhat imitating parent. But then it's also important to note that Lauren was kind of scary being all mutanty and using her powers, but she just destroyed a phone. She didn't hurt the woman in any way, and I don't think she would have done. I think she just needed answers, knew the woman had them, and was understandably very angry that this woman had just been complicit in a place of torture. You know, it would be like a psychiatrist working at a concentration camp almost, kind of that sort of thing where even if in her mind she can justify it as, oh, I was trying to help them, I was trying to be there for them, and I'll believe that, you know, she was kind to them, maybe she was trying to make the terrible situation better, but it doesn't make it okay that she worked there. It's very messy. So I think that was, again, another interesting dynamic that we got to see. I'm glad we got to see just how angry that place had made Lauren, because it made me angry too. And I really appreciated Caitlin telling Lauren that she loves her just as much as Andy, because Lauren knows that, of course she knows that, but I think with all the stuff that's been happening this season, it's really important sometimes to be told things like that even though you know them. You know, I think it's really important to tell the people in your life that you love them if you love them, and to make sure they know just how strong your feelings are. And I think we've seen that Lauren's been struggling a lot and that she's been keeping it from her parents. I think that was a very important conversation for them to have had. And I think Lauren, she's realising that just simply talking and trying to be peaceful and good isn't enough. It's not going to create the change that they're hoping it's going to change. I think Lauren is very much aware that they need to start taking bigger steps. They need to start fighting back. They need to start standing up for what they believe in very literally and trying to stop just being reactionary. I don't think she's ready to join the Inner Circle and hurt innocent people and jump on the bandwagon like Andy has. But I think it's very interesting that we have, even within the Underground, characters at different stages and different beliefs in the same way that you do in the Inner Circle. And I really need Lauren to start training. I can't wait to see what she's going to be able to do with her powers. I've spoken before about how important a character she is to me. And I mean, she had her powers for 3 years, didn't really use them very much because she was terrified of everyone finding out she was a mutant, of her family rejecting her, of all the understandable things that a kid would go through finding out they had mutant powers. And yet she trained a little bit last season, but this season she's been kind of more emotionally focused rather than using her powers. So I'm excited to see what's going to happen if she takes the initiative a bit more and is determined to get stronger and to be strong enough to stop Andy if the need comes. Although I don't want them to have to fight each other. I know it's inevitable, but I don't want it. The dream that Andy and Lauren had, I think Andy would love it if Lauren were to join him. And I could almost see Lauren pretending to join the Inner Circle in order to try and win him back. I don't know. I think it's going to be very interesting. So with the Inner Circle, I will agree that I don't think, if you assume their end goal is make a mutant homeland, that's not necessarily like evil and terrible. But if to do that they're going to hurt loads of innocent people, you know, be sadistic, or well, not that they enjoy hurting people, but be just kind of willing to kill hundreds, thousands of people in order to get their mutant homeland, I will never ever agree to that. I also think it's quite a sad day if you say that minority groups have to segregate themselves away from the rest of the people. Like, I don't think that that's sustainable in the long term, but if it was like a base where mutants could be safe, I can see the appeal of that, and I would even support that to an extent. But I think the way they're going about it is the problem, and it's going to be very interesting going forward to see how characters like Andy and Lorna, and even Esme now, I never know if it's Esme or Esme, that name, I'm free to say it both ways. It's going to be interesting to see how those characters, definitely especially Andy and Lorna, cope or deal with it when the plan involves hurting innocent people, because as of the moment, they've not been directly involved in that. I know Lorna blew up the plane and there were people that were innocent on the plane, but I think that was one incident. I don't know how much she'd be okay with that in the long term, or if there were kids around, I don't know. And Andy in particular, he's yet to hurt innocent people. I do believe he feels terrible that he hurt Lauren. I think he believes in the mission. He thinks, you know, there was no other choice. But Andy seems quite okay with not having the full picture. Like Lorna, I know Andy's used to being a kid, I suppose, and being told what to do, but he's not concerned that he doesn't know everything about their plan. So if during their plan they came up against something in which, you know, the instruction was blast his guards out of the way, or in which his new girlfriend to turn them inside out, I would be interested to see how Andy would approach that going forward. I don't think he's evil, I don't think he's horrible, I think he's a very scared little boy who has been through a hellish time. You know, he was bullied at school, then became a mutant and had all of that awful stuff happen to him, that I can understand him wanting to take the path that bites back, and that's what Lauren can understand. But I think it's the methods they use, which is where it's going to be interesting to see how he reacts with that. Jace Turner is a terrible human being. He is, I mean, he knows just how awful the Purifiers are. That's what gets me. He's fully aware of how hideous an organisation they are. They are a hate group, and yet he tells himself that, oh, I don't like the violence. I will say, please come out and surrender yourself to all of us with our guns, and that will completely absolve him of all of his conscience. Like, I don't know, I don't think there's any hope for him as a character anymore, and I really want his wife to go through with that divorce and live her life far away from him. So that episode, I'm glad that when he said he knew where they lived, he didn't mean he knew where they literally lived, because that they need their home, even if now the Strucker home is very much with lots of holes in it and broken bits of bed. They need that base where they can feel safe and secure, and I'm glad they didn't lose that, because the underground have lost everything, basically. I think we're getting to that point where, you know, Lauren again told their mum that Andy doesn't want, they're not gonna, it's not gonna be as easy as seeing him and saying, hey Andy, we love you, come home. He truly thinks he understands where he is and thinks he believes in it, and maybe when he finds out that they kill innocent people or whatever, he'll be okay with that. I'm not saying for sure that he wouldn't be, but as of right now, everything he understands about it, he loves it, and he's got a new girlfriend, and they treat him like an adult, and he can play computer games whenever he wants to, and he can eat whatever he wants to, and it's so great. You know, there's no real rules or anything as long as you show up to training. You know, like for a 15-year-old boy, that is a dream. So yeah, the hard thing is, I think, that Andy's 15, and you know, if in the real world a 15-year-old went and joined an extremist group, or just went to live with a bunch of adults in some place and they trained him all the time, there would be alarm bells ringing. You would just think, no way can that happen, that is not okay. You would take him away from there and give him back to either his parents or like a foster family. You would not leave him in that situation. Whereas I know that 15 is that awkward age where, although they are very much still children, they are young, they're mid-teens, they're becoming adults, they're beginning to think more like adults, and to feel like, I mean, Andy will think he's as adult as any adult out there. He'll think he's, you know, completely grown, whereas looking back at how you were when you were 15, you were not an adult with how you think. So it's tricky, because in some senses you think they should just grab Andy and take him home and make him listen because he's a child, but then also he does have a say and an opinion, and I think I worry for him in the long term because of the things he might do with the inner circle that will ethically rest on his shoulders going forwards. But this show, it's one of the reasons I absolutely love this show, is because it's so complex. You know, there's so many, I can always talk for like 15 minutes after an episode because there's just so much to discuss, so much to get into, and often while I'm editing I think of several things I didn't remember to say, and I love the fact that we can all watch this show and have different opinions on it, but almost heartfelt opinions. We can, in the same way that other characters that we see, they're split with their viewpoints across the spectrum, the viewers also get split across the spectrum, and as long as we're understanding with each other, as long as we don't start blasting each other across the internet, as long as we're respectful of the fact that other people have different views, it's a lot of fun to discuss and to challenge each other. I just love this show because it really speaks in a way to the political movement now and just political movements across time. And I love these characters so much. They're so developed and multi-dimensional. You know, they're not just black and white, good white hat, black hat, villain, good guy. They're well-rounded, they're good, they're emotional. I'm so scared for all of them. I've yet to be like I was worried in season 2 that I was going to reach a point quite quickly where I viewed Andy and Lorna as bad guys, as, you know, evil characters with this bad organisation running around hurting people, and I still don't view them as bad guys. I view them as people who are making choices I don't agree with, but that's their right, isn't it? You know, I still care about them as characters. I actually think I care about Andy as a character more this season than I did last season, so that is good. But I mean, Andy's not one of my favourites, but neither are Reed and Caitlin. You know, they're just characters that I find very interesting and that I care about, and I'm excited to see where the show goes next. So I was just editing my reaction, I had the camera away and everything, and I realised there was something I'd forgotten that I wanted to talk about, and that is one of my issues with the Inner Circle versus the Underground, one of the reasons why I support the Underground, and that is that the Inner Circle has so much money, so many resources, it has power, they have links to people in power. They could make a real difference for the everyday mutant. They could, rather than just make some utopia for them to live one day in the future, they could right now be helping. Whereas they don't, you know. There was a bombing of a mutant safehold in Baltimore. The Inner Circle just carried on training for their big mission because that's more important. The Underground dropped everything to go, and I know it was an underground safe house, but our characters, the characters that we follow, who were safe in Washington, they were nowhere near what was happening there. They could have just stayed hiding, but they went and they risked everything and they almost died trying to save people. Now imagine if they had the Inner Circle's resources, they would still have that instinct to want to go and help people, but they would be able to make a real difference. So I think the Inner Circle talk a good game about caring about all mutants, and you know, like I said, I don't think they're sadistic, I don't think they're evil. I mean, I think they make morally questionable things that are they're kind of bad guys in a sense, but they're not sadistically evil. That's the phrase I wanted to use. They want a utopia for mutants, but they kind of don't care how many mutants die along the way. They're not too concerned with trying to help people. I mean, think of all the money they've got, the facilities they've got. They could house a hell of a lot of mutants who are refugees. They've got enough money to sponsor safe facilities that are guarded to protect mutants, to, in the meantime, keep them safe while they're building this wonderful world. So I think their actions, or lack of actions, show to a certain extent that their intentions aren't wonderful and pure, that they would probably still have they would want to make a mutant world where they were the leaders, they were the wonderful heroes of this mutant world, and all the other mutants said, oh wow, there's Reba Page, there's the Frost Sisters, aren't they great? I think if they were truly good guys, their instinct would be more, oh my god, did you hear there was a bombing, a little, in a, I don't know the distance, but I feel like Baltimore's got to be fairly close to Washington. There was a bombing. We could help the people, the refugees, the mutants that need us. They know there are mutants that need them, but they only take ones that they can use. And I think that is one of the reasons I can't get behind them, because if they were trying to build their great utopia for mutants while going off every now and then on a mission to try and help mutants in need, they didn't go to the hospital to free all of the people. I mean, it wasn't in Reva's plan to free any of the mutants within that hospital. I know they made the video, so obviously they wanted to highlight the fact that the cause was... They wanted to highlight that the mutants' conditions in the hospital were not good. I don't think that they didn't care about that. Obviously they did. But Lorna, she set them free, A, because of what she went through, and it's what she personally believes is right, and B, it delayed. I mean, John and Clarice were not outside helping Andy, I can see say Andy and Lauren, Marcus and Lauren, they were inside dealing with all of the people that they had set free. So I think their goal was not just noble and good in that, it was for their plan, and they were able to put a little bit of a gloss over it of aren't we great. So I think that's one of the things that I struggle with the Inner Circle. Also, what they are doing is making the situation worse. It's making people hate mutants more. It's giving all of the ordinary people who might otherwise think, oh, mutants are being unfairly treated, they're not all bad. It's giving them instances of, oh, look at their mutants attacked that place. Oh, look, mutants rampaged through the street and they blew up a police van. How terrible, aren't mutants evil? The Underground's mission of trying to establish peace and equality between the people, the success of the Inner Circle's plans sets that backwards, because you could see an ordinary person who normally would think most mutants are good, there are bad ones, but there are bad people too, they're all fine. Then they turn on the news and see, oh, there was a mutant attack on this place. In the same way that the Purifiers will hopefully set the fascist, racist human cause back with bombing churches. But I think the Inner Circle's plans, obviously, in a way, they don't care if they ruin relations between mutants and humans forever, because they don't care. They would happily crush all humans in order to make their mutant homeland, I think. So again, that's just my personal beliefs on the subject and why I don't side with the Inner Circle at all. I can understand why characters like Andy and Lorna would think they're doing the right thing with the Inner Circle, but I think when you look at it more closely, there are things that don't add up and things that, I mean, just everything about them is manipulative. Every way they have, I mean, the whole way they treat Andy is so manipulative that it makes me angry. He's a child. And then even Rebecca, we don't know for sure whether she sadistically murdered her family or whether it was like she was having an argument with her mum, or even they were abusive or something, and then her powers manifested and they died. We don't know. And the guards in the hospital, I mean, she was being mistreated, so I could see that being something not entirely in her control and also something that she was able to justify. What she probably needs for her mental health is to be with people that try and teach her peace and just to use her powers, to be confident in her powers, but not to just hurt people with them. And I hope the Inner Circle is going to actually help her as well. And like I said, Andy had better never ever break that girl's heart. I have lost track. But yeah, so the Inner Circle are very manipulative with how they treat people. They only want mutants they can use, and the minute they can't use them anymore, I fear for that mutant's life. So yes, thank you for watching.